I am so hyped for Project Hail Mary, and we finally have some significant news out of the latest industry event, CinemaCon. It's mostly for industry insiders and theater owners, but there is some juicy tidbits for us to go over for fans of these upcoming projects. And Project Hail Mary has been one of my most anticipated sci-fi films, and it's kind of nuts. It's in the same year we think that Dune Messiah adaptation will also be out. So 2026 is definitely looking very bright for sci-fi fans. And let me know if you have read Project Hail Mary. There could potentially be some spoilers. I do suggest reading Project Hail Mary. It is an awesome read. And also the audiobook is amazing. So if that's more your thing, it's one of the best audiobooks that I've heard too. And honestly, just ripe for adaptation. You could definitely see it in your mind's eye. And obviously, Amazon MGM thought so as well. So they pursued this project. And it's by the same author that wrote The Martian, directed by Ridley Scott, led by Matt Damon. The Martian did very well, both critically and commercially. I love that movie, love that film, but I'm much more excited for Project Hail Mary. And honestly, I feel like Ryan Gosling is the perfect casting choice. We have the latest news from CinemaCon. The movie is set to come out March of next year. They finished filming and now they're just deep in post-production. But some very exciting people are attached to it, and I think it's going to be the next Interstellar. So from what it sounds like from the descriptions of those that were in attendance and that we've been able to get from the presentations, it does sound like it's going to be a mix between Interstellar, The Martian, and E.T. Interstellar as far as the visuals and the stakes, but also those emotional beats, the likable characters of The Martian, but also other unique elements too that are very much going to be a hit with audiences. So this is an article from The Hollywood Reporter. Ryan Gosling reluctantly goes to space to save Earth in Project Hail Mary footage at CinemaCon. The Phil Lord and Christopher Miller film got a share of the spotlight during Amazon MGM Studios' CinemaCon presentation on Wednesday night inside the Coliseum at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. So this is an Amazon MGM production. It's interesting what we're seeing out of Amazon when it comes to what they've promised in regards to their film slate. And they have emphasized that they want to prioritize the theatrical experience. This is going to be a great showcase of that. And also, Ryan Gosling himself is a producer on the film, but there's lots of great talent involved that makes me very optimistic about it as an adaptation and about it as just an amazing cinematic experience. It actually got prime position in kicking off the studio's inaugural presentation with a cold open that went straight into exclusive footage that lasted several minutes. The story of Project Hail Mary is based on the Martian scribe Andy Weir's novel of the same name, which follows a middle school science teacher, Ryland Grace, played by Gosling, who wakes up on a spaceship with no memory of who he is or how he got there. He must figure out how to complete his interstellar mission to save Earth from an astronomical catastrophe completely alone, until he meets a mysterious alien who has traveled light years to save his own species from the same fate. Drew Goddard adapted the novel for the screen. And Drew Goddard did the Martian adaptation as well, so he's returning. He's an acclaimed screenwriter himself and other projects too, so really excited for his return and working on this film. So later, when they preview the footage and all the actors and directors come out, they said that they fell in love with the book and the world did the same. And it is an ambitious story. It takes the Martian to a whole new level. I mean, in the Martian, it's the story of one man's survival, and NASA and all these other spacefaring institutions are working together to save him. This time it's the other way around. We have one man working to save all of humanity and more, the galaxy. Incredibly more ambitious in its scope and the stakes. Christopher Miller said that it is the biggest challenge that the filmmaking duo has ever taken on. And Lord took some time to praise Gosling as the best actor of his generation, who anchors the film with an iconic, funny, and brave performance. That's a great description for his character, and I think he was perfectly cast for the role. I think he definitely can pull this off. In one of the witty moments, Gosling then said that he enjoyed working with Lord and Miller, who have a singular vision, which is weird because there's two of them. They are only happy if they make you do the very rare, coveted laugh cry. Seriously though, Gosling said he honestly loved playing the character. He goes on such a journey, as you can see, and this is why you go to the movies. I'm not just saying it because I'm in it, but because I'm a producer on it as well. I love the character of Ryland Grace in that it embodies the themes that really resonate with a lot of people of just your ordinary run-of-the-mill nerd who's obviously reluctant. This is something so hugely important. The weight, the survival of the human race, all on him. And yeah, he doesn't feel at all qualified for it. I think it's a wonderful story of bravery, courage, survival, working together. All of the themes that I think are just so universal that I think really connect with everyone, that everyone can relate to that and find it inspirational and aspirational. Let's actually go to the social media reactions next, because there was a lot that provided way more details than this. There's just so many that were present. And this is from Robert Meyer Burnett, Viceroy of Verisimilitude. Amazon MGM Studios crushed CinemaCon with their slate. Quote me later, but Project Hail Mary will be taking home the Oscar for Best Picture at the 2027 Academy Awards. No, really. I think it definitely has the potential to be Oscar-worthy, but of course the Academy is very biased, as we know. Probably for Best Visual Effects, we can definitely count the technical awards. Ryan Gosling specifically mentioned Greg Fraser. So Greg Fraser is working on this film as cinematographer, and of course, I am such a fangirl for him. His work on Dune, it was amazing, and The Batman, The Creator. But if there is any justice, they would be at least nominated for Best Picture. But we'll see. The story certainly has that potential, and visually, I'm sure, again, it will knock it out of the park, especially with Greg Fraser behind the camera. This is by Daniel Howitt. Phil Lord, Chris Miller, and Ryan Gosling are here to talk more about Project Hail Mary. Gosling immediately shouts out Greg Fraser's stunning cinematography, and it really is beautiful. Yeah, so everyone that was there was praising the visuals. Project Hail Mary looks like a perfect adaptation of the book. The trailer showed way more of the story than I hoped. There are some surprises tucked in there, but it looks like a phenomenal film. It's got to be such a tough thing to balance, to know what to reveal to audiences. It's such a huge portion of the story. I'm sure he's talking about the alien that he encounters. Phil Lord says Rocky is the most lovable alien on screen since E.T. It just sounds like it's going to be an amazing cinematic experience that I think so many will enjoy. I feel like audiences need to see the potential and the optimism in stories like these again. We have so many stories within the science fiction genre that are dark and grim, nihilistic, and I love the varied different types of stories, but there is such a special place for these types of stories that fill you with hope, that just resonate on such a universal level with everyone, that everyone can embrace overcoming these enormous stakes and survival scenarios and learning more about yourself, challenging yourself, and especially like buddy stories. Those are my favorite kinds of stories, I think. You know, like the Fellowship of the Ring. Everyone loved that type of story. Everyone resonates and connects with that. So I'm really excited to see something like that again, and for the science fiction premise. And also in the same year that Doom Messiah is likely to come out, it's nice that we have both of these different kinds of entries in the science fiction genre, and they all say so many different themes. But there's definitely a place for these hopeful stories, optimistic ones that make us feel good. And also, I think these types of stories are just the perfect ones to introduce youngsters to science fiction when it has such mass appeal. If people aren't familiar with the book at all, it definitely will inspire people to read it. That's always exciting. And we definitely know that there's potential for a sci-fi event movie succeeding. In the month of March is when Doom Part 2 came out and did very well at the box office, over 700 million worldwide. So there is the potential for it to do very well at the box office for this particular release date. See, this is the thing that comes up a lot and that I continue to struggle with too, is when I hear about something and it's already going to be an adaptation, do I read the book first or do I want to be surprised? And I struggled with that a bit because I heard of the movie first, knowing that it was kind of a survival-based story, the survival of the human race. I wondered if would that spoil the movie-going experience, because I did also struggle in the past with Dune. Of course, when you have those expectations and you love the story so much, the source material, it can kind of hamper just the cinematic experience. It can kind of temper your excitement a bit when you go to see something. So I did struggle with that, but I actually do recommend reading the book first because it's going to happen. And obviously, with any beloved dense sci-fi story that gets adapted, there's going to be things that are streamlined, but there are also just surprises that I think might get spoiled. And I feel like the best way to experience the story is to read the book or listen to the audiobook, which is very well narrated. That would be my recommendation. And Silo as well. That was another thing. Reading the book first actually kind of hampered my enjoyment of the show because the books are better. Books are better. It just is what it is. So I think that's probably going to be my go-to from now on. It's just the best way to experience these stories. There's so much depth to it and details and building out the world. And an adaptation is its own thing, but I feel like that's the best way. Books are best. It's very accessible. There is some science, all of the stuff that's centered around putting the plan in place and all of the human elements, governments and scientific institutions coming together. There's a lot of things involved in preparing for the Project Hail Mary mission. I would describe it, yes, it's hard sci-fi in some areas, because also what's neat about Ryland Grace is that he himself is a middle school teacher. So some of the things he says and the concepts that he describes are very much in keeping with teaching youngsters, making these hard sci-fi concepts using interesting illustrations that are more simplified and easier to understand. So kind of yes and no, the way that they handle it. I would describe it as hard sci-fi in some areas, but not too heady at all. You don't need an understanding of the science concepts. It's very beginner friendly. And he says what you just need to know. It doesn't get overwhelming at all. And even if there are some concepts that are maybe difficult to grasp, I think it's very well presented. And hey, yeah, opens the mind to do more research that inspires going into these fields. It's kind of in line with Star Trek in that way. And again, like hopeful optimism and showcasing what humanity is capable of when they work together, just inspiring all of those different fields of research and tech. With the reveal of the alien, I think it was an exciting part when you're reading the book, but I think a nice draw for audiences. It's such a huge part of the book. That would be a difficult thing to keep secret. Some things are secret. We know there's an alien, but there's still some things we don't know. And obviously the story will be a mystery for audiences. But again, I recommend the book anyways to read beforehand. I think it'll add to your enjoyment, actually. That's just my opinion. But I'm curious to know what you prefer, either book first or film first. And based on everything we know about the film, are you excited for this adaptation? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe for more sci-fi and fantasy news, theories, and lore. And if you're looking for other ways to support the channel, you can leave a super thanks or join as a YouTube member for early access to new videos and other perks. You can also check out my Patreon page for exclusive content. Thank you all so much for your support. And as always, have a very nerdy day.